In the ongoing controversy surrounding SEBI Chief Madhabi Puri Buch, we look at the wider demand for an independent probe into Hindenburg's allegations. The focus now shifts to Hindenburg's demand from SEBI's chief to disclose her client list. We also look at the web of funds and investments which Hindenburg alleges show the link between SEBI chief and the Adani Group. A report by the Indian Express shows that the web of funds and investments which Hindenburg alleges show the link between the SEBI chief and the Adani Group. SEBI Chief Buch and her husband, Dhaval Buch's investments in Mauritius-based IPE Plus Fund 1 is now at the center of the controversy. And according to reports, this fund also has several investments from Vinod Adani and is part of 2 of the 13 offshore funds which form a part of the web under SEBI's scrutiny. Hindenburg's latest report said that Madhabi Buch's response includes several admissions and raised numerous new critical questions. The U.S. firm has demanded the SEBI chairperson's client list. The research firm challenged the SEBI chief to commit to a full, transparent, and public investigation into these issues. Hindenburg has also questioned the integrity of SEBI's probe into Adani Group's fraud with Buch's involvement in such funds. The controversy has had limited reaction from Indian stock market. Early on Monday, the Sensex index fell as much as 500 points, but recovered to close nearly flat. The scenario was the same for Adani Group stocks. That suggests investors have broadly moved ahead beyond the controversy. On Tuesday, an index crashed nearly 700 points to below 79,000 level. However, broader global cues was the driving force. Still, the saga poses several important questions. Calls for an independent probe have increased, and so have demands for the SEBI chief to step down. Listen to what EAS Sarma, a former secretary to the government of India in the Ministries of Power and Finance, had to say on this.
She, as a member, full-time member of SEBI, did she make a disclosure to Government of India, the Ministry of Finance? Similarly, when she became chairman, did she make a disclosure to Ministry of Finance? And did the Ministry of Finance apprise the Cabinet Committee on Appointments, which actually makes all these appointments? Was the Cabinet made aware of these things? This is much more important.
Now, the Hindenburg-SEBI clash continues to elicit new reactions. We were joined earlier by EAS Sarma, former secretary to the government of India in the Ministries of Power and Finance. He has written a letter to the country's finance minister seeking a judicial probe into the Hindenburg allegations. Take a listen to what he had to say.
2022, the Department of Economic Affairs, so the Ministry of Finance, issued an order which again relaxed the definition of how an overseas shell company should operate. It literally, the particular order of DEA made it easy for many of these people to stash their money in shell companies and then round trip it through third countries to India. So that itself is a very big relaxation. I wrote to the Ministry of Finance at the time saying, why did you do this?
The former secretary also asked some questions that need immediate clarity.
The member, full-time member of SEBI, did she make a disclosure to Government of India, the Ministry of Finance? Similarly, when she became chairman, did she make a disclosure to Ministry of Finance? And did the Ministry of Finance apprise the Cabinet Committee on Appointments, which actually makes all these appointments? Was the Cabinet made aware of these things? This is much more important.
WION also spoke to Vikas Singh, economist and author who advocated for an impartial investigation and more regulatory reforms.
It's important to prioritize a thorough and impartial investigation into the allegations. This process should be transparent and swift to restore public confidence in SEBI's integrity. Let's also understand that 21st century India cannot be run by 20th century institutions. India's journey towards a world-class financial market necessitates a long-term perspective and addresses these challenges proactively.
Mark Matthews, a prominent Asian markets expert, spoke about the case and its effect on investor sentiment.
I can gather the Indian investors I've spoken with see a lot of smoke and mirrors in this whole story, in the sense that Mrs. Buch and her husband did invest in that offshore fund, but it was almost 10 years ago, and they did so as private investors. And yes, it's true that Mr. Buch is an advisor to Blackstone, but that's not something anybody couldn't have found out or known about before.
He also spoke about the skepticism with India's booming stock market and corruption allegations.
Yeah. There's just no way that the Indian stock market could have had the kind of returns which it has had over the last 10 years, 14% per year. Over the last 10 years before that, 17% per year. That's simply not possible if there's a tremendous amount of corruption in the system.
Meanwhile, TV Mohandas Pai, a chairman of Aring Capital Partners, had a different take on the whole saga. He called the allegations baseless and sees no conflict of interest.
She was a private citizen living overseas. She put money into a fund. It's a small amount of money, $890,000 for $48 million. That fund manager invested. They redeemed the fund, came back to India, and then she became a whole-time person, whole-time member. And she gave her list of assets and liabilities to SEBI. When you give assets and liability to your organization, what does it contain? Everything that you have as of the date. There is no mention of anything like that.
Thank you so much for staying with us and watching WION Live broadcast from New York City. I'm Susan Tehrani signing off for now, but a lot more news and headlines coming up after this short break. Don't go away. For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.